Very happy to introduce you to Sunita Dsouza. She is Director, Talent Acquisition and Business Development. She is right here on the airwaves of Talk 100.3. Good afternoon, Sunita. What a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, good afternoon, Sobia. It's lovely talking to you. It's finally nice, always been hearing your voice and finally we are talking. So that's fantastic.
Thank
you for the opportunity.
Oh, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for your kind words, Sunita. There's always a perfect time. But when it comes to jobs, Sunita, couldn't be better time here. Of course, the first thought, the moment we hear this is, of course, the regional uncertainty. But hey, we all know that nothing lasts forever. Sooner or later, this will be behind us and we'll be onwards and upwards looking for something that matches not just our will, but also the CVs as well. So in these times, Sunita, let's get started when it comes to the AI, not for the people who are hiring, but also the people who are approaching the HR, and they want to learn from AI tools. They want its help as well, and how it can encourage that our CVs remain at the top or are shortlisted.
Oh, fantastic. That's a very good question, Sobia, because a lot of people don't pay attention to this. The CV writing is one of the crucial thing in everybody's life. The most important thing, people are worried that we are going to lose jobs or, what's happening. But there's one thing that I would like to say before we get started,
Sure.
One of the most important thing right now within the GCC region, across the UAE or Saudi Arabia or the wider Gulf, it is said that it's about 5 million new jobs are going to be coming across the private sector by 2030. So you can imagine how many new jobs are coming, and so how important it is for us to be up and running with the tools that are, required for us to search or get the jobs that we are looking for.
Sunita, 5 million is a huge number. And
it is.
So what are the popular sectors? Let's hear it out from you yourself.
Well, look, every organization is going to be hiring, right? I mean, in different organizations, there are going to be different hiring that's going to happen. But the digital AI, the data centers, the cybersecurity, the artificial intelligence, data science are the sectors which are the growing in demand, and this is where the most of the jobs are going to be coming up. Now, a lot of companies are getting into this, so it is important that people understand the real the real market, what's there, what's happening in the market, and be aware that this is the industry that's going to be really taking up a lot of jobs. The job market opens up within these industries.
All right.
Including healthcare and smart infrastructure as
yes.
well. Yeah.
That's right. So, Sunita, couldn't have been a better time that now you are here with us. If you can, pan it out for people who are ready to upgrade their jobs and people who are ready to come down here and get started. What is the first rule? How to go about it? Keeping technology in mind, of course.
Okay, look, the most important thing is, you need to know that when you are applying for a job, you are not there in the room to speak to the person who has posted the job, wherever this job is being posted, right? So what is your voice? How is your voice going to be heard by the person who's posted the job? It's your CV, right? It's your
Sure.
CV that is the voice that's going to be heard in your absence. So you're not in the room, the CV is in the room. It is in front of the person who's trying to look why this person is suitable. One of the most important things that most people fail to do is to modify or rectify or amend their CVs to make it suitable for the role that they are applying. In simple terms, you don't wear one dress for every occasion, right?
Of course. Good example.
Yeah. Every occasion requires a customized dress. Okay, you're going for a birthday, there's a dress for that. And every occasion, you're going to fix that dress and look new. Your body is the same, right? Your body is the same. It's just the outside, the outer dress that you're making it nice so that, you look good for that particular occasion.
Sure.
Now, your CV is exactly the same thing. And this is something I tell every candidate that I speak to. You need to make sure your CV looks good for the role you're applying for. Now, many a times people say, I will speak about this and that during the interview when I get a call. How are you going to get a call if the required things are missing on the CV?
Yes, that's right. So,
Right.
so let's start from the ATS, Sunita, because this is the term, we keep hearing every time and now, the applicant tracking system. That is, of course, to, your resume parsing and automated filtering. And this is the first step, if I'm not wrong?
It is. ATS-friendly CVs is one of the most important thing. And why do we talk about ATS-friendly CVs is so that you can align your CV towards the job that you are applying for. Exactly how we talk about the outfit, how you modify it to be suitable for the role. Now, ATS-friendly CVs is only possible when you feed in information to the system to modify and put in the words that are relevant to the job you're applying. Now, ChatGPT is one of the common things that people have right at hand, where you can put in the job description and then you can align your CV and say, okay, is the job description covering everything that the job I'm applying for? Because many a times we fail to put in all the description. We fail to mention everything that we have done. We just take it for granted, like, oh, this is not important part of the job. But a particular role, a particular task that you have done could be one of the most important parts of the job, but you have not mentioned it on the CV. So when you use tools, online tools, to check, whether your CV meets the job description, that is when you could land up on the right job. Now, there are many ATS optimization tools. So there's JobScan, one of the online option which compares CVs versus the job description, and then it shows what kind of gaps are there, the keyword gaps which are, which needs to be fixed on your CV. There's another one which is called Resume Worded, which gives you feedback. It gives you, an impact on, or provides clarity and makes it ATS friendly, or strengthens your profile to meet the requirement. So some of the AI tools that people must use. It's very, very crucial that people use the online tools and don't stick to one CV. I mean, obviously, the basic information on your CV is there, your name, your date of birth, your education, and everything remains the same. But what changes is the job description.
Okay.
A summary, just a few things I would also add on, okay?
Please.
When you make the CV ATS friendly, automatically most of it is covered. But there are some things as a person you need to invest in your CV.
Okay.
For example, okay? When people look at your CV, people have only a span of 5 to 7 minutes, 7 seconds, not minutes, 5 to 7 seconds to look at your CV. That's like, imagine as a recruiter, we would be getting thousands of CVs. Do you expect us to read 5 pages of the CV? No.
You're spot on, Sunita, because recently we learned from one of the HR experts that joined us and said that we don't read the whole CV these days. So that's what you're saying.
Exactly. Nobody reads. You look at the advertisements, when you look at advertisement, what is the time that you spend to look at an ad between 2 movies, or you're looking something on Netflix? It's 3 to 5 seconds. It's already too much to see that ad.
You're right.
So exactly the same thing applies to your CV.
Wow.
When we are looking at your CV, it's just about 5 to 7 seconds. Now, one of the things I would suggest everybody to do is have a summary. Many people have an objective. Now, objective is your personal objective. But when a client is looking at your CV, it is more subjective. Why should we hire you? In a summary section, right? In a summary section, put in the total number of years of experience. Put in all the names of the companies you have worked for in the last 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So that people don't have to go through 5 pages and see, 10 years ago, somebody has worked for this organization. No. Within the summary, so, 20 years of experience working within UAE, the Middle East, or worked in the UK, US, or whichever part of the world you work. Name it the companies, let's say, Big 4 companies, property developers, or whatever industries you have worked. Put in the names of the companies. Put in what you have done within those companies within the summary section. That is the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing, put in a quick achievement, overall in the last 20 years, you must have done big things, right? Projects, numbers, quantifiable data, what you have achieved. You have saved 20%, 30%, increased revenue by 40%. Whatever you have done, put quantifiable data. Now, when you are making an ATS-friendly CV, you need to feed information. It's like you put in the ingredients, that's when you can cook your food. So, if the ingredients are not right, the food is not going to be good.
Excellent example, Sunita. Yes, makes sense.
You put the right things, right? So you put in the right information, it's only one page, okay? The first page that plays a crucial role in getting you a job. A good summary, good achievements, a quick overview of what you are, your education, your experience, your historical data, things that you have done which would be value add. And it may vary, right? In last 20 years or 5 years or 10 years, the total number of years you have been within the employment sector, there may be different projects you have done, but you cannot add everything on the CV.
Of course.
But when you are applying for a job, It is important that you look at what job you're applying for a job. It is important that you look at what job you're applying. And if there's any specific achievement you must mention on the CV, add it. Don't just leave it saying, I will talk about it during the interview. You may lose out on an opportunity because recruiters don't understand every industry 100%. So word bound, right? We'll be looking for, which industry the person has worked for, what has he done, which are the good companies, the competitors has he worked, a little brief about the company. All of these things play a vital role on your CV for the client or, the person going to interview or the talent acquisition people to look at your CV and give you a call. So it's very, very crucial that people follow this in order to land on a good job. Because UAE is filled with jobs.
That's right. So, Sunita, these are the do's. What are the don'ts?
Don't apply for every job. Because you're wasting your time and energy in applying for every job.
But if you're desperate, and that's human nature, that at least from somewhere I get a call, and then once I have made the impression with the CV, then it's going to be my turn. And at times you're desperate, Sunita. Let's face the fact.
Yes, you're right. When you're desperate, you'll apply for everything. But that doesn't help. You apply for everything within the industry you can apply. So first thing, you work on your CV. Second thing, you look at the companies. So whatever industry you have worked, right? Whichever industry you worked for, so those companies would be there. So list out, let's say, about 20 to 30 companies in the UAE that you feel are similar lines of what you have worked for. Now start applying for anything within those companies because that is industry specific. But you're into manufacturing and you're applying in retail or you're into healthcare and you're applying for a completely different job. It's not going to add value. Who will understand you is the one who comes from the same background. So it is important that when you're applying for a job, if you're applying for everything, apply within the same industry. At least people will say, okay, she comes from within the same industry, so it's easier to explain things to her. Otherwise, you're wasting the recruiter's time. You're burning out your energy. You've been applying for 100 jobs. You're not getting a call. You feel demotivated. What's the point? Because when you apply for a lot of jobs, you don't get calls or you get regret mails, it's very demotivating.
It is.
At the end of the day, you'll be like, what's going on? Am I not good? What's the use of the education I've done? Everything puts you down. Your friend is getting a job. She came on a visit. She got a job. I still don't have a job. I have renewed 2 to 3 visas. Nothing is happening. This is why. This is because you're not applying for relevant jobs. Job search is a very big job.
Indeed. Yes.
It is a very big job. So you need to strategize. It requires a proper strategy. How do I start the day? Which are the first 50 companies I'll apply? What are the kind of roles I will apply? Who are the people I will connect? And if you're going to ask for your friends and relatives to help, it's not going to help. You need to help yourself by doing these things. Make a good CV. Make an ATS-friendly CV. Modify the CV. Don't just go on applying and applying. Apply, no reply. Khalas, then you are very, very demotivated. So there is no point in that.
Well said. This is kullu mushkil, not maafi mushkil. So, Sunita, let's also talk about things at times, in these times especially, we overlook. Our social media footprint, our profile optimization, that is at times overlooked or ignored, or we don't take it that seriously. What would you say about that?
I mean, most of the time people do ignore it, and that is the key problem these days, Optimization is something where if people don't follow the steps, they don't look into all of these things, that is where the biggest problem comes from. Many a times it is when people are applying for jobs, they are not utilizing what is available in the market, right?
Sure.
So it is important that people understand what is it that I can do in order to apply for jobs and get something out of it. Most of the time it is just, people think, oh, this is not what, I don't have the relevant skills, or, on the CV, the skills are not stated or the industry terms are not stated. So these are things that can cause a lot of problems. So it is important that people follow they optimize everything that is available in order to apply for the right kind of roles and get the right kind of roles. So
these days, how commonly HR, tend to look at your LinkedIn profile or your social media presence, Sunita?
LinkedIn is the key. Everybody looks at your LinkedIn profile because it is the professional network, right? Everybody, each and everyone, the first thing people will look at is, what is this person doing on LinkedIn? If you're actively looking for jobs, you'll be active on LinkedIn. You'll be applying for jobs. You'll be commenting on things. You'll be posting relevant information pertaining to your industry on LinkedIn. Social media, again, it depends, what kind of roles people are applying for. If you're looking for a marketing person, then obviously social media is something people will be looking what kind of post the person is putting out there. But if it is other industries, so LinkedIn is definitely the place where people should be very, very actively connecting with people, connecting with HR directors or the talent acquisition team or the relevant people, because not everything remains within HR and talent acquisition, right? Sometimes it is more on the owners or the directors, because the kind of role, whether it's a C-suite level role or a junior level role, based on what kind of roles you're applying, you need to be very, very active on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is definitely the place which helps people get jobs, because it's not only organization posting jobs out there, it's also the recruiters, right? Even as consultants, people connect with people on LinkedIn, and that's how we get the right data.
And now, Sunita, let's talk about this fact that people say speed is equal to advantage. Your application automation.
I can't hear you.
Now, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me now? Because I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I was just walking around the place probably because of that. Yeah.
All right. So basically, when they say that speed is equal to advantage, Sunita, your application automation, the organizes and tracks application, helps you follow up strategically. So also simplifying jobs with autofill applications, speeding up your submissions. Any tips on that?
Well, the faster you improve or optimize a system or a process or application, the more competitive advantage you gain. It's very, very important that you follow the rules over there. So application optimization, what exactly is optimization? So you're just looking about how you're going to improve how a system or an app or whatever the process is going to make things faster for you. So it is important that people ensure that they have these processes followed on systems, because if companies are improving their hiring systems, they are improving it in weeks. They're trying to do things quicker and faster. So if the faster you improve your CV, so since we are talking about jobs and CVs, it is very important that speed of delivery of whether you're submitting a CV or you're returning a call or whatever you do related to the job, it has to have speed, because everything is even looking at a CV, if it is as fast as 7 seconds, that you can imagine whatever things we do in life, the speed is what is going to give you the upper advantage.
Sure. Yes. So I'm trying to make the most of your presence right now, Sunita. So I'm going to speed it up as well. So, we get a maximum out of you, especially our lovely listeners. So I followed you to the T, and now I am a paper tigress. I'm all set. So the next phase is the preparation for the interview. And also please talk about the AI-based practices these days.
Look, preparation of interview is one of the most important things. If you look at it, it's a salesperson's job, right? Preparing for an interview is you're competing with people. You're competing with another product who's equally good as you, and you're going to tell the opposite person why they should hire you over another one.
And there are thousands waiting already. Imagine.
Now, this is something that we face on a daily basis on why people are not able to speak well in an interview. Now, doing a job is very easy, but speaking about the job that you do on a daily basis at an interview is very, very hard.
How to sell yourself.
Yes, how to sell yourself, because that's the key thing, right? Against the other competition. Read about the job description. That is the key thing, right? Because when you've applied for a job, you should know what that job is in store. What is it that you are required to do for the job? Now, when you go for an interview and talk about many things that you have done and achieved and everything, that is great. But the manager or whoever is interviewing you is trying to listen to that one thing that he needs to hear that is relevant to his industry, to his company, or something that you will do for him.
Yes.
Many a times, most of the candidates, we feel as consultants that this one is going to nail the interview, but is the one who fails the interview. Okay, most of the time this happens. This is because they think, the next interview, I'm going to talk about some of these key aspects. In the first interview, I'm going to speak about these things. In the next interview, I'm going to speak about, the other relevant information that related to the job. Don't do that.
Okay.
You have one opportunity, and in that one opportunity, you need to nail it. So first, try and understand what the company is. It's very important to know about the company. You're coming to my house. If you've not read about my house, how are you going to say why you want to join my house, you want to enter my house?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you try and read about the organization. So when somebody asks you what do you know about the organization, you should be able to say a few things. You cannot be a master at what the organization is, but relevant to your job. If you're a salesperson, you're going in for a product sales, a particular product sales, a lighting industry sales, or, real estate related sales, or whatever product you're going to sell. What does that company do? What is the relevant information you have? Read about that. Because in an interview, the first impression is right at the door. When you're standing at the door and the door opens, when you're entering the door, it begins from there.
That's right.
Yes. It's not about you going and sitting on the chair and then saying, hi, my name is Sunita. It's about at the door, what outfit you're wearing. Are you in a full suit? Depending on the kind of role you're going. Are you wearing a complete suit? Are you well dressed? First is your outfit. In Hindi, they say, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. So the first thing starts at the door.
100.3%. Yes.
So that is the first thing. Then when you're there and you're given that probably 3 to 4 minutes to speak about yourself.
Sure.
Now, in that time, you're not going to become emotional about how your life has begun and what you did in your life and what went wrong. And no, don't get that. They are not there to, listen to your agony of life. It's a sales job. You've come here. I'm going to give you the job. Tell me what you have for my company. So that's the way you go for it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're there, you talk about everything, which industries you've worked, relevant to the company you've gone for. What is the kind of role you've done?
Not to say during your first, you can say first interview, because at times there are many. So something... we know what we have to do. You have to have that warm-up, all prepared. You should know a little bit of the company. Then the first impression, starting from the door. What not to say, not to do these days? Are we still under that, system or those manners of something not to say during a first interview, Sunita?
Don't sound desperate. That's what I would say. Don't sound desperate. Like, you have to give me the job. I will do this for you and I will do
everything.
This and I can do... Yeah. No, don't sound desperate. Tell them what you are and what potentials you have that will add value. That is what you should say. Don't go with the desperate feeling. I am don't go with the sales pitch in a way, You have to still sell your profile, but in a very different way. So desperate sounding is not good. Bad mouthing about your organization or what are the bad things, oh, my organization is doing this, or they're not paying me this, or they're not paying me. Don't forget, your current organization is still paying you your salary.
And what about, if the employer or the HR personnel pushes you because they want to be interested knowing about your previous job. So you have to be very alert on that as well, right? Because at times you feel that maybe they are tipping you and you should continue along the same lines. No, don't do that.
No. No matter what happens. You should never speak negative about the role that you are in, the people you work with. There has to be something positive because of which you stayed within the organization. And when you speak positive, that is when the HR or the concerned people will see the positivity in you that will help you get you on board. But when you speak negatively, there's always a thought he's already speaking bad about his current employer and he's been with them for the last 2 to 3 years or 5 years. So, if he's bad-mouthing them, it doesn't give a positive impression to have that person on board.
That's right, Sunita. Your moral compass, ethics should be intact. Now, we have the main course in front of us. We have done with it. Let's talk about the side dishes or dessert. Maybe I've got 2 minutes with me, Sunita. Does networking, your outreach, which can also be AI assisted, Sunita, if you like, does that help or it depends?
No, networking is definitely crucial, right? Networking is very, very helpful for any and every organization, whether it's a job search, for a sales, for marketing, for whatever you do. Networking is very important. But applying for jobs, how much will you network? Whom will you go and meet, network, right? It is important that you are online. You follow the online processes. You apply on LinkedIn, apply on all the portals. You've got Naukri Gulf, Monster Gulf, Bait, Gulf Talent. I do not know. There are many, many more. Healthcare has its own portal. There are different portals that are available. You need to apply. You need to refresh your CVs out there, because your presence over there is also networking. Because when you are there, you're active over there. That's when a lot of recruiters will see you. If you applied for 10 years ago and you say, oh, my CV is still there, it's not going to help, because that is an online networking also. Apart from them attending seminars, understanding what the market has, being online and knowing what's going on, LinkedIn has a lot of trainings that happens, even free trainings. Attending to those, when you do a training, it shows, okay, you've completed a particular certification, you're in the limelight, it goes as a message to everyone, so and so person completed a particular certification. That also helps you. So networking is definitely an important part of life, but being online, being on online portals, being on online systems is also very, very important.
Well said, Sunita. So much that one can learn from you. I'm sure there are so many out there to help, but for us, it is certainly Sunita Dsouza right here. She is Director for Talent Acquisition and Business Development. And for today, especially when we get to know that there are millions of jobs are going to be being created as we speak. So the future looks bright. Thank you so much for sharing these tips, which are updated and will help us get us either a job or hopefully a dream job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.